Hi, Andrea.
Hi, Claire.
Thank you
Nice to
very
see you.
Nice to see you too. Thank you very much for being in conversation with me today. And I'm particularly pleased to be talking to you because you share something in common with my mum. So, when my mum and dad got married, they got married in England, but they subsequently, when I was a baby, moved to Zambia. And they lived there for towards 5, 6 years, something like this. And my mum used to refer to it as a neutral country, somewhere that my father and I could really establish, my father and she could really establish themselves. And I just wonder what your take is in your family dynamic living in the UK.
Um, so yeah, what you just said is quite similar with us. I am a Romanian and my husband is Indian, as in he's from India, more specifically from Mumbai. And we met on a ship, on a cruise ship. So neutrally speaking, the ship we can say has been our neutral sea. And we both decided to move to England in 2018. So we've been knowing each other since 2014, and for a few years we traveled and we worked on the cruise ship together. And we decided to move to England basically because it was a good country, sort of speak, we both speak English. So it would have been difficult for me to say, oh, let's move to Romania or let's move to Spain, where I used to live before. So yes, and not to mention that we work for cruise liner, which was British cruise liner. So we were very much, how to say it, we were very much familiar to come to England and live in England for a few weeks, sometimes days. We were staying in hotels, so we got familiarized with this country from before. So
Mm.
we said, why don't we do this jump and let's just start a life on land, as we say. We used to say on land. And that was our neutral land. So first was the sea, and then we moved to England. And yeah, and since 2018 we reside here. In more specifically, we just moved to Reading few months back. Yeah.
Mm.
um,
Fabulous. Thank
yeah.
you. And would you say a little bit more about it? Because, you know, when my parents talked about it, they said it it made it an equal footing. Into, you know, my father's from Ghana, my mother's English, so traditions, religions, cultures were very different,
Yeah.
and living in a different environment, but of their choice,
Yes.
facilitated them making the choices that worked for them. So have
Yeah.
you done something similar, or how's your experience?
So yes, I'm gonna start coming into the real picture to say like that. So when me and Cash, we got, my husband's name is Kasha, like on the short we call him Cash. So when we basically started the relationship, I was not aware about Indian culture, not even Indian food. I didn't know almost nothing apart from the fact where it's located on the map from geography lessons. And I'm very serious. Like I've never had this. I don't know. Like I never even thought of visiting India. I didn't have anything to do with their culture. And when we started when we started to have our relationship, and we were on the ship, he introduced me to kind of like Indian food, Indian culture, Indian music. Initially, I was quite reluctant because I was coming. I was reluctant from one point of view. Like when you start traveling the world, and you know, because you were cabin crew as well, when at the beginning, at least that's what did happen to me. I was full of stereotypes. I thought I know, oh, I know how this continent is, I know how this country is, or I think I would like that country, but I would not like this country because of X, Y ideas. So when I initially started my relationship with Cash, he introduced me to completely new world, and it was lucky from his point of view that I was kind of open even to try Indian food at the beginning, because a lot of people is like, oh no, I'm not trying it, it's too spicy, it's too much, it's too that. So we started dating, and I set up some conditions to put it like that. But it was our how can I say, it was our way of saying what it matters for each other in both cultures, because obviously I'm Christian, and Cash is, for instance, a Hindu. So I wanted to make clear for him that for me it's very important, this part of my life. So I am a religious person in the way that I am practicing my religion, and we discussed this from the very beginning of our relationship, that if we are going to go serious, for instance, our children, if we will have children, which we did, there will have to be following Christian religion. And not because I had a bad idea about any other religion. It's just that in my idea, I thought being a mother, holding 9 months the baby, like I thought this will be very important for me, and I wanted to bring it forward. And he agreed. He said, yeah, I have no problem with this. As long as obviously we respect our cultures, as Indian culture, our festivals, our, like celebrations. And I said, yeah, of course, like we celebrate Diwali, we celebrate Holi. As a matter of fact, my first trip to India, when it was in 2016, we were there for almost 2 weeks, and I got there when it was Bali. Sorry, Holi festival, and I loved it. Like for me, obviously, I took it as a celebration, and for them to see the country, the food, the aromas, the colors, especially the colors in everything they do. For me, it was a different universe, and that's exactly the word. It's a different universe, and I embraced it. And yeah, that's how we kind of like correlated with each other. Like we respect each other's differences, which we find them in a way as sometimes you can find them challenging. From what point of view? Like you might not understand them properly, and obviously you have to leave few times, maybe one celebrate. Well, for me, Diwali, I thought is just a festival of lights, which is true, but for them it has a much deeper meaning. The same with us for Christmas. Like their idea was just exchanging gifts. Then they understood that for us in Christianity, we are fasting like 2 months before Christmas, almost 2 months. We are, like we are going to the church, we confess, we take a holy blessings. Like there are more to do than just buying the gifts. And yeah, we keep learning from each other. And this we discussed it from the very beginning of our relationship, like what can be different and what cannot be different, and how we will discuss it when we will have issues of like not understanding each other. So yeah, for us it's a matter of like respecting the differences, and in the same time living with them. um, and obviously we didn't get married straight away. We wanted to understand, are we going to be able to do it? Like, are we actually serious about everything? And we did. We did. In 2017, we got married. And I can't tell you that I keep discovering new things about his culture, and he's keep discovering new things about my culture. Food wise, I can honestly tell you that I didn't have any idea what condiments were before meeting my husband. Like I didn't know anything about condiments. Like, and I can't say I'm a great chef myself. Like I'm not the best person to say I cook the best. But um, every time I was, even in Istanbul, when we were visiting the Grand Bazaar, everyone has been in Grand Bazaar. I was looking at all those condiments. I'm like, how these people are using them, where they are using them, what they are doing with them. And it was so nice that when I entered his culture, I can say I make better masala tea than himself. He said, "Oh my God, you are much better in doing masala tea than me." Or I do an amazing lamb curry. Like I didn't even know I will do all this kind of stuff. I'm speaking with you, telling you that I didn't have a clue about nothing, like about nothing about India or what was coriander or what was I don't know, like any other ingredients that you would put in a or garam masala, or I wouldn't even know what's that masala. Like it was, yes, for me it was like learning the alphabet. Um, and I can say probably at the beginning it was, you know, the fantasy, and it's a completely different universe altogether. And Cash, on the other side, obviously he was thrilled because he had his own fears that me, I would not embrace his culture, or I would not like certain things, or how will I react to other things. And the fact that he saw that, you know, I'm serious, and not that I'm just serious, but I'm actually enjoying it. Um, for him, it was like, you know, like he could breathe and he could relax, that things are going on the right direction for us, and I can live in this kind of you know, in this kind of culture of his. But obviously we both keep our identities, and I think this is so important. But I think it's important for any type of relationship that you have. I think being yourself, an individual with your own things, and the other partner having to respect, you know, your space, your time, your differences. I think that's the beauty of it. When you are too much alike, at least in what it concerns me, I wouldn't be, I don't know, I wouldn't be so fascinated, to put it like that. Or, and I know that the fascination can go very fast, but it's a line with which we maintain. I keep learning from his culture. He keeps learning from my culture. We want to travel to both countries as much as we can, and explore as much as we can. I'm in love with India, and he's in love with Romania. Um, uh, we both say, "Oh, let's go to Romania when it's winter time, and let's do some winter sports or whatever." And I say, "Okay, let's go to India. Let's go to Mumbai. Let's go to Goa. Let's go there." Like, I find Mumbai like the second New York. To be frank with you, I didn't even think about that when I first went to Mumbai. I had a completely different image in my head. And when I got there and I saw, obviously the society is divided on different castes, as they call it, but it was a surprisingly beautiful country, which I was mesmerized from the time I stepped in India until the time I left India. Like I really loved it, and not because of my husband. I really love the country, and because otherwise I would have said to him, "Listen, I love you very much, but you know, you can go to your country and, you know, explore as much as you want or see your family, but I will choose our holidays from now on." You know, it could have been like that. Like you never know. And no, we both, we are lucky in that respect, that we both like our countries, you know. And obviously now living in England, being such a neutral place, it's important for us as well, because it makes us being more organized. Because as a family, where you consider having three homes, Romania, India, and England,
Mm.
you have to be more organized from the point of view of the money, from the point of view of the you know, like the holidays, because obviously we both are working. You have to understand how much holiday you take to visit your country, how much holiday you take to visit the other country, or we do it in different years so we can have other holidays in between, because obviously we can't spend our lives just visiting India and Romania. Obviously, we love traveling, so we can't just do that. Um, but now having our little daughter, um, it's obviously it does require a much more length of organization, from financially speaking, time speaking, and even, you know, like energy. It's different, but in the same time, it's the best, because probably we both have to adjust. It's not like one would come to the other and say, "Oh, it's easier for you. You are in your own country. You speak your own language. You are next to your family. It's not so hard as it is for me." So we started on the same level. So from this point of view, it's fair play, as I call it, you know.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, it's an ongoing process, and it's gonna be like that, I think, forever. And especially now that we have our daughter, we have to, you know, keep entertaining her and explaining her and educating her, and she will have to know from both cultures. And I think that's the beauty of it. Myself, I am 100% sure that I will probably learn much more about his culture, his language, and other stuff when I'm gonna start, or he's gonna start showing our daughter, because I'm sure I haven't I haven't had the not even the time, to realize the big picture of things. So yeah, how was it for you? Like, what did your parents say about all their, you know, them living in England? Because for you, obviously, you were born in England, but how was for them? Like, what did they say? Like, it was easier, right? Because they started from the same level.
When they lived in Zambia.
When they lived in Zambia, yes, yes,
Yeah, they definitely found that. And they shared exactly what you've said about it not being one family having leverage over the other. You know, when you
exactly,
said both of you share
yes,
neither family being there. So, you know, and in my parents' case, they lived several years in England before they went to Zambia. So they
yeah,
already had a sense of challenges, I suppose, arising. And then, so when they went to Zambia, they found it instantly easier, and especially as they were starting a family. I was already born and siblings followed. So I
yeah,
think in the family raising side of things, it made it a lot easier. So that when they did come back to England, I think they were very established as a
yes,
couple in who they
yeah,
declared they were, so that everybody else followed them or accepted them as they were, rather than them being pulled because
yeah.
society or people were telling them how to be or anything like that.
Oh, yes, we know. And there are
Mm,
certain other things that I haven't touched, and they just came to my mind. There
mm,
are advantages and disadvantages, because living in a neutral country, to put it like that, obviously, we don't have our parents here, grandparents for Theodora, for our daughter. So it's not the same, like, you know, saying, "Oh, it's Sunday, let's go and have lunch with, you know, my mom and dad," or let's have, you know, like, let's go for shopping for Christmas together. Obviously, you can do that if you travel to the countries, or if they travel here to England. But there are, yeah, there are advantages and disadvantages, and in time you kind of learn um, how to appreciate what you actually have, because um, if Cash and I would have obviously said, okay, now that we have the child, we have to decide, one of us has to, you know, quit this idea and let's go back to Romania, let's say, or let's go back to India. but none of us, like we said, like we took the bull by the horn, as I like to say it, and we said, okay, well, if we want to extend our family and have a child, we have to be realistic that the child will have to grow here with us. And the from other aspects, I can sometimes look at my friends that are from Britain, and they are saying, oh my God, I appreciate you so much, because it's not easy to be so far away from your family. But when you think that you kind of like build a life, and nobody is stopping us to travel. And for me, traveling to Romania or even to India, as much as Romania is what, 4 hours away, and India is 9.5 hours, we don't have these differences. Like when one of us, we want to go to any of the countries, we go. Yes, like financially can be an implication there, but we never say, oh, your country is closer, or your country is much, like farther away, and the costs and that and that. We kind of try to understand each other from this point of view, and understand the importance of seeing our family. And for Theodora, now that she grows up, to understand both cultures. And I am so excited, how will she come and see and perceive the two cultures from her small eyes as a child, and what she will like, for instance, I'm cooking for her Romanian food as I'm cooking Indian food. And it's like, for me, if anyone would have told me, what, 10 more than 10 years ago, oh my God, you're gonna do that, I would barely know how to cook Romanian. Claire want to know how to cook Indian as well as for my child, like, mm, it's something which we we kind of, obviously, I'm not going to deny there are disadvantages from this point of view, but in the same time, we count our blessings as well, and understand that nobody's keeping us here for by force or whatever. And for instance, for our daughter, this is called home. She was born here, so for
Mm,
her it's her home. Imagine, it's going to be a little bit of, generationally speaking, is going to be much different for her than it's for us. And we have very good family friends that they are in their 50s, 60s, and their children were born here while their parents are still dragged by their own countries. And their heart is still back home, to put it like that. And they say, like, we want, once we retire, we want to move. So I keep thinking, even I'm just in my late 30s, but I keep thinking with my husband, with Cash, what we will do, where we will be. And my heart as a mom is saying that I'm going to be where my daughter is, or where my daughter needs me, but you never know. And it's so exciting in the same time, because I am always open. I'm always open to be somewhere, be here, be in Romania, be, as long as you are happy where you are. That's the most important. But yeah, I will admit, there are advantages and disadvantages. You just need to count your blessings, definitely.
mm. And how do your in-laws, not but just your in-laws, but how do your respective parents feel, and cousins or whoever's involved, how do your respective families feel about you living in England?
Well, for them, is like by default, because when me and Cash, we started the relationship, we were still working on the ships. And when we were ending our contracts, we were both going to our countries, but we were spending a lot of time in either country, or either he was coming to Romania, or I was going to India, or we were traveling somewhere in between, which was Dubai. Many times we've been in Dubai. And they kind of know how hard it was at that time, because to process the visas and the waiting time, and obviously the expense as well, because every time you're traveling, you had to, especially if we were in Dubai or Turkey or whatever, you had to obviously pay hotels or Airbnb. So they knew how much struggle we were going. So they are kind of like, they have peace of mind now that we are settled, and we have a normal lifestyle, which we always wanted. Um, People who have not had a lifestyle, to say, to be at sea, and then myself, I was also working as cabin crew. Like, people are laughing, my very close friends, they are laughing, and they say, so you worked on the water, you were at sea, and then you were in the air. What is next? Submarine. Where are you going to go, so people understand that when you are so much on the go, on the move, you need stability, and you need your ground under your feet. A lot of people don't understand this aspect, and now that we finally have this for a few years already, um, we kind of, that's why we extended our family, to put it like that, because we kind of settled mentally, physically. um, I am still struggling a little bit with weather, but I go on city breaks. I find things, like to bring myself to sunshine. But I'm also lucky, um, because Reading, it's good weather compared with other parts of England, but I'm still struggling compared with the Med, to put it like that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, especially if you've lived in Spain,
yes, it's uncomparable.
weather-wise. And
Weather.
that and actually that prompts another question for me. How has living in England kind of shaped or helped or not helped your experience as a couple? You know, clearly you have your family's support, clearly you have each other's support. How has England served you?
Well, for us as a couple, because we were constantly on the go, it was the moment when we settled. That's when we started to basically see ourselves truly, like, because when you worked, when you live so much on the go, you don't understand exactly how is to live with someone 24/7 in the house. Is he taking the garbage? Is he cleaning the house? Is he leaving his towel somewhere? Is he like throwing his clothes? Stuff like that, which at the beginning, you don't have this kind of interaction, to put it like that, because you only see the nice stuff, the good
Mm,
stuff. You're obviously living in hotels or going to your parents' house or whatever. You are still spoiled. So living in England for us, it was like showing showing ourselves how we are, truly, how
mm,
true,
mm,
how is our day-to-day life, without being spoiled by any luxury, any cabin steward, or any, like, and just living a normal life. And sometimes we had struggles because he never knew I was such a disaster or master disaster in the kitchen. So his second trip to India was kind of like, Mom, can you please show me what's like the basic of our Indian food, at least, just to teach Andrea a few things, and then know for myself as well. And that's how I started to learn, because he asked his mom for like 4 or 5 basic things. He then taught me, and then from there I started. So yeah, we met each other, like, we kind of know each other very well from 2018, to put it like that.
yeah,
uh,
excellent.
Although we were married from 2017, you can't say you know each other until you don't literally live with that person 24/7. And England offered that to us,
Mm,
offer stability, to know each other, to understand each other, what is going to the groceries, what is cooking, what is doing the cleaning, what is, normal things which
Mm,
people, they do it automatically, but for others, yeah, we started differently.
mm.
Yeah,
And England's said to be a very tolerant country, you know.
very, yes.
And is that your experience?
Yes, I personally never had any issues with problems of, I don't know, racism, at least myself. Yeah. If Cash would have decided with myself, let's go and move to Romania, it would have been an impediment from the point of view of the language, because in Romania you do have to speak Romanian. Um, People now will say, well, in multinationals, it's accepted if you only know English, but in the day-to-day life, because you don't work 24/7, you do need Romanian.
Mm,
And it would have been unfair from my side to cut his wings, to put it like that, and not, like not let him develop to his fully potential in a country like England, and tell him, no, you come to my country because I feel much more comfortable to be in my country. If you want to be with me, then you have to come to my country. So no, I thought it was a selfish way of thinking. And from this point of view, none of us we had any issues. And in Romania, for my husband, it's very important, the food. I'll say that. I think for any man, but especially for, I saw for Indian people, their food is very important. And in Romania, you don't have such a big choice of Indian restaurants, Indian shops, Indian, not even to go and buy some condiments. You do have ways of getting them online and stuff like that. But in Bucharest, the capital, you do have few restaurants, but nothing compared with England, where maybe in Bucharest, I don't know if you have 10, 20 restaurants. I'm not sure if there are so many, because I haven't been in a while. But it's uncomparable with England, where you have a full street of restaurants, and here you have Persian restaurant, here you have Afghani, here you have Indian, here you have Pakistani. There are so many choices. You don't have so many choices. And I'll be frank with you, when Cash visited Romania in 2016, first time, a lot of we went to eat in Indian restaurants as well, but in Constanța, which is my hometown, which is the seaside of Romania, at that time we only had one restaurant, one Indian restaurant. And obviously we couldn't go there every day. So we were going to Lebanese restaurant, we were going to Turkish restaurants, we were going to Greek restaurants, Romanian restaurants as well. But to be more or less close to his culture and to his food, and to have a condimented food, to put it like
mm,
that, to go to this type of uh, restaurants, and he loved it. I'm not saying like he didn't suffer, like, oh, I don't have my Indian food, I suffer. He loves Romanian food, and he loves Lebanese food, Turkish food. He is not like he suffered, but obviously on the long run, I don't know if I don't know if he would manage, but I do have a very good friend of mine, and she's married with an Indian, and they live in Bucharest. And they cook a lot Indian food at home. And I know from her that they are ordering a lot of spices online. They cook a lot at home. I'll be frank with you. I like to cook at home, but I have. We also have we used to have a very busy lifestyle as well, and we did go a lot to eat in the restaurants as well. And for us, it's like it was, and it still is. I can't say. Oh, we don't do it as much as before, because now we have our little daughter that I have to cook at home, and it's different. But it's much more easier, even for me, to find Romanian restaurants here, and for Cash to find his culture away from home. He has his small India in South Hall. Every time we go to South Hall, I don't know if you heard about South Hall. So every time I tell Cash, listen, I'm in the mood to eat like authentic Indian food. Let's go to South Hall. So he's even, laughing. He's like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to go to South Hall." You
Excellent.
really feel like in India there,
Mm.
and you can't say that about Romania. You can't go somewhere and say, "Okay, let's feel like in India." You can't.
And
Yeah.
and you refer regularly to your daughter. How do you feel about? I mean, and you talked about three homes, so she's going to enhance the English home, isn't she? Because she may very much feel like a Brit, because
Exactly.
her peers, her friends will
Yeah.
influence her and things like that. And her language will be shaped by them. So many things. How I know that's looking. She's a mere little one at this time, but how do you feel looking forward about things like that?
Claire, I don't have an answer for that. I swear. I keep asking myself how it's going to be. Um, and I don't have an answer. I just, I pray. The only thing which for me doesn't matter. You are Romanian, you are Indian, you are English, you are whatever. It doesn't matter for me. What matters for me is that uh, I educate my daughter in a way where she can make a difference in between a good person and a bad person, a good influence and a bad influence. I will not, me and Cash, we cannot be with her 24/7. We will not be able to protect her 24/7. And for me, I think that England has so much potential when it comes to education compared with other countries. Like there are some of the best universities in the world here. So we have to take this part of advantages, but up to university time, the only thing which I want her to understand is that is to know what respect is, to know that respect you have to gain it. It doesn't come with nationality. It's you don't respect the one that someone just because it's a certain nationality. No, you respect someone because anyone deserves respect up to the point when God forbid something happens and they lose or you lose their trust or your trust in them. But I think that the most important thing that we have to teach her is to understand what respect is, what education is, um, and that her opinion counts, and her voice counts, and she needs to, not be afraid to express herself as long as she is civilized, as long as she keeps, like respecting the other person. This stuff I want her to know.
Mm,
um, and I want her to travel as much as possible because myself, as much education as my mom has given me, I have a second degree in education from the point of view that I traveled. I was full of stereotypes before, and I was telling you, I thought I knew, but you actually don't until you don't travel and you see. And because we have this, I don't know, mass media is doing a lot of harm, I think, because they are picturing certain countries in a certain way. And then you go to those countries, and I experienced that from myself when I lived in Spain, for instance. I called some of my friends from Spain back to Romania, and they were like constantly from the time they reached Romania, they were constantly, "Oh my God, is this Romania? Oh my God." And I was like, "Yes, this is Romania." And uh, at that time, I realized how harmful is, I don't know, mass media, social media. You have to go and travel and explore as much as you can, read as much as you can. Doesn't matter if you read from a Kindle or from a book, read. I think it's so important for your education because when you read and you develop your knowledge and you can, you have a certain, you know about different things, you don't take for granted what the other person says. you have your own process of conscience, and you can think for yourself, and then you can draw your own conclusion without having to following someone or thinking someone is a leader and you are having to follow. That's what I want my daughter to. Doesn't matter if she lives in England or in Spain or in Romania. Or, I think it's more important for her. It's gonna be important education and respect, and how she treats others, how she treats us, the parents, how we treat her. Because, yeah, and now with her having a daughter, I'm teaching myself how to behave, because we think that they are small and they don't understand. It's not like that. I talk with her like a normal human being, like an adult, not an adult, but someone who understands. Because that deep down in her subconscious, she does understand. And we put brick by brick in their, in their subconscious mind, conscious mind, or whatever. And that's how you plant, or at least that's how I think I'm gonna plant the seed of, like, like her knowing about her surroundings and understanding her surroundings, and yeah, and teaching her how to engage social life, like taking her out. It's not just this taking the child to the nursery. No, take the child everywhere with you. They will understand better. And I hear friends telling me, like, I just gave birth, and me, what, 6 days after I gave birth, I was telling my husband, come on, let's go. I need a coffee. you know, we went out from the first week, and even my mother, all generation, different generation, they were like, oh my God, where are you going?
Mm.
You just gave birth. And I'm like, so what? I'm not handicapped. I just gave birth. It's so funny to see these how you call it, these ways of thinking, the limitations that we ourselves impose upon ourselves. And I just go with the flow. And to answer your question, like how you see your daughter, I don't know. Maybe at 10 years old, she wants to go and study in Malaysia. I don't know. I don't know. Like, mom, I want to study acrobatics. I want to go to China. I don't know. Of course, I will have my heart like this, but I don't want to interfere in. No, I want to interfere in her life up to the point where I can, and I can establish an education, and I can establish, and I have the certainty that she will become an adult that can decide for herself and can do the right choices for herself based on the right criteria. But I don't want to be that type of mother that, or us as parents, that we keep grabbing her and hold her from living her own destiny, to put it like that. And I take this example, I think, from my mother, that she told me, you know what, fly as high as you want or wherever you want. And she could have been selfish and say to me, no, you stay in Romania, stay next to me. um, yeah, I don't have an answer how I will do this. I'm trying to educate myself, but I'm also trying not to raise my daughter based on just books. Sometimes you do have an intuition as a mother, and I think that the the intuition and the correct, you have a sense, a vibe of how to do things, and I want her to understand that. I want her to, they used to teach us in cabin crew, how do you know when a person is being, trafficked in the aircraft? You don't know. It's your gut feeling telling you. And this is what I want to make her understand in life. Like, trust your feelings, trust your gut feeling, trust your intuition, trust your opinion, trust yourself. Self-confidence is so important. And this is what I want to teach her: self-respect, self-confidence, the power of the knowledge, the education. These things, they will go far away no matter what country you are. It doesn't matter where you are. I think it's so important. to be a respectable person, a decent person with good values, no matter where you go.
Mm.
And that's how I was, because my mom was not next to me 24/7. She wasn't next to me in Spain. She wasn't next to me in England. That's what it matters. And I will be able to do that somehow. Me and my husband, obviously. Yeah.
Mm. I might remind you as the years go by.
Oh, please do it.
I'm
When I'll be
joking.
like, Claire, she's not doing what I'm telling her to do. Yes. No, I am certain I'll have my challenges. She's my child. Oh, I gave my mom a few challenges. One of them was marrying an Indian. She wasn't expecting that. Like I wasn't expecting that. What to ask from my mom, you know? But see how life takes you. Like,
Mm.
and being open to different things in life, where it takes you. But I haven't done these choices based on um, nothing but feelings.
Mm.
And I haven't based, oh, if I choose that, I'm gonna be there, and I can't. It's too complicated.
Mm.
I can't leave my feelings based on mathematics. I've never done that. I will never be able to. Um, and you know what? God forbid, if things would not work out, let's say in 5 years, 10 years, 20, God forbid, I'm not regretting. I've done what I felt I will do, like, and that's so important. I'm not saying people who don't have regrets, or I don't have regrets, but not in this aspect.
Mm.
I've done exactly what I wanted to do.
Mm.
And I still try and push this from me. It's
Mm.
because it's hard. It's hard. In today's society, it's harder than was 10, 15 years ago. Or maybe because I was younger, I wasn't so conscious about my consequences, or, or I don't know. Obviously, when you are younger, you are more courageous, to put it like that. Or yeah, to put it like
Mm.
in a
Mm.
nice word.
And
Yeah.
you're giving examples from being cabin crew in the air. So, when they say, make sure if there's a situation, put the mask on your face before you put the mask on
First,
your child.
baby.
How do you explore? You do have a love of traveling. You touched upon the idea that you might even explore moving to another country. How
Hmm.
how do you look at the future and consider that possibility and the needs of you and Cash, obviously bearing in mind the needs of your daughter, but without, remembering if it works for you, it will work for your daughter. How do you entertain that idea of because I think for a lot of families it's tempting to put the child first and then make your decision second, but you're sharing that you've often done the things that are important to you, that matter to you, that you want to do, and in the heart of all of that your daughter will be well taken care of. How do you consider your future in ensuring that you and Cash fulfill on what you're out to do and take care of your daughter?
So basically, we are in our late 30s. So we still have, like, literally, like, realistically speaking, we have like 15, 20 years maybe until we retire. I don't really know if we will keep living in England for all this duration, or if there are any career prospects for any of us. Of course, Theodora will have to follow in a way or the other, because if you think realistically, she will be best with her parents. I don't believe in, I'm going to leave my daughter with I don't know, babysitter for so long. Obviously, you have to do that with childminder or whatever. But it's one thing to be few hours, and it's another thing to be away from home for so long, and then to go and come back to your to your child. I think that will be so detrimental for them, because there are at a certain age where they will take that as abandon. And talking about cabin crew jobs, I had colleagues which they were struggling with their children because of the job, because they were going for like 3 4 days or more than a week sometimes, and there were the children at a certain age when they were understanding this as an abandon. Or over Christmas or over Easter, the mommy was never there because she was having to fly. So because I've seen and I've heard these situations, and also myself, I was being brought up by my grandparents. My parents were always on the go, and in a way, it did impact my life. So I think, yes, there are advantages and disadvantages on both sides, from the fact that if you remove your child from their habitat, from their natural habitat, like let's say nursery, they have their friends there and their teacher and whatever. But at the end of the day, I think the most important thing for the child is to be with with their parents up to a certain age. Then I think you can play a little bit, but for the first 7 years, I think it's very important for the children to have this closeness with their parents, no matter what and where you go. Not sure where we will be, but in any equation that I would have, she will have to come up after us or with us. There is no possibility for us to even say, oh, I will leave her in Romania or I will leave her in India. For me, I can't, like, I have to go back to work because I'm during maternity now, and I have nightmares thinking, how am I going to survive without her for a few hours? Before, I didn't understand this concept at all. I didn't understand. I was rolling my eyes. You don't. There are certain things which you do not understand until you live them. Sorry, until life makes you live it. And more than that, life kind of pays you back. Like, you remember what you used to say? Here is a situation, live it. So you don't judge next time. And that's exactly what happens to me right now. I would not be able to think, oh, I'm going to go a month or 2 months or whatever. I'm going to go somewhere without my daughter. I am thinking from her perspective, her mommy not to be there, and I'm already having an anxiety feeling in my body thinking about her. I started reading a lot of psychology, self-development, whatever you want to call them. But if you think from a rational point of view, leaving aside the books, the theory, because there is a lot of theory, and just leaving it, you will understand it. You'll understand, and you will be able to correlate your feelings, in living those moments and reading them, and you'll be like, oh my God, that's exactly what I feel. you know I can't. So whatever we will decide, she has to come with us, at least for the first years of her life, 7 10 years of her life, she will have to come with us. And you know why I find it important? Before that, I used to tell you that, oh, I want to teach my daughter how to select her friends, how she will be able to distinguish which is a good bad. You can't do that if you're not there. You can't. And you can't create that connection between you and your child. You can't if you are not there, you know. And yeah, and I don't believe in this. There are ways of thinking, oh, I can offer my child the best things in this world, the best, I don't know, best clothes, best holidays, best everything, to cover up of your absence. It's not gonna happen. They need love, they need attachment, they need you there, they need you.
It's
And
it's interesting. You're reminding me again of my mum, because when I was around that 5 6 age group, the schooling at that time was such that they could the primary school in Zambia, it will be a different situation now, but this is so many years ago. But their
Yeah,
thinking at the time was the primary school is fantastic. Secondary school, they weren't so confident about. So lots of people were recommending that I go to boarding school in England. And my mum just looked at my kind of personality and said, I don't think Claire will do well in a boarding school environment. So I often feel my parents very much put their children first,
yeah,
in returning to the UK. My father had a fantastic career ahead of him in Zambia, and my
see,
mother was working and had a life that she was very fulfilled in. And I
yeah,
wouldn't say they didn't accommodate and adapt to their life back in England, but I wouldn't say my father was ever going to have the potential that he had had there. So
yeah,
in their case, I do feel they put their children first,
yeah,
in their choosing to return to England. I'm sure we were very much at the forefront, um, of that decision. Um, yeah, yeah, but I do know that you entertain the idea, from what you've said, of living abroad, and going somewhere new, and so in which case your daughter would come with you, obviously.
yes. Well, as you said, and I had the same experience with my mother, like my parents were divorced, I'll just put it like that. And when that happened, obviously my mom took full custody of me. And because of it, as you said, she had a very big career in front of her. Like she could have been established in Germany, in US, in like even in England. I remember Austria. I knew she had a very good contract. She couldn't because it was a matter of staying with me and staying in Romania in the opera house in Romania because she was a ballerina, I'd like to put it like that, or going abroad and being a ballerina abroad and do her career, make a name and everything, and forget about the fact that I was, like in a certain age time because I was like 8 years old. That I needed support from this point of view. I needed my mom there. She couldn't leave me with my granny anymore. Because grandparents, as I love my grandparents too. They are both deceased, but I had the best childhood ever because of my grandparents, as well as of course of my parents. But that they were coming back and spoil me so much. But it's important to have that connection. And my mom, thank God, she understood that. And even today, the connection that I have with her, apart from the fact that she's my mom, but she's my best friend. I can trust her from like, because we have this connection from very young age. I can trust her not because she's my mother only, but because I know her as a human being. I know her as a person. I know her process of thinking. I know how she reacts. I know what things are important in life and on what she's basing her decisions. So when I come with a problem to her, or I'm having a question mark in my head and I expose her, mom, this is the situation. I really don't understand why I'm in this situation and how am I supposed to react and blah blah blah. But the fact, and she's, like she is the best person that she will sit down with me and she will make things like so easy to understand because she's very clear and she's very wise. More than clear, she's a very one of the wisest people I know. And this has, like, this connection, I'm 38, yeah, this has happened since very young age. If my mom would have come back to my life when I was 14, 15, I can give you in writing, this wouldn't have happened. She wouldn't have this um, weight on me, on the way she thinks. Like, I wouldn't trust the process because as much as you are my mom, you need to prove it that I care. where I can open up to you and why I can open up to you and what can you tell me about it. And yeah, as you said, when you decide to be a parent, I think you have to be aware that you as a person, you come second. You need to be realistic about that. If you are able to, I'm not saying there are parents that they are still considering themselves, they are. Everyone is unique and they can be unique and there is their choice and their right. But I think that we need to put our children first, definitely.
Thank you. And when you look at your own life for a minute,
Hmm.
are there things that you feel you miss out on? Not from having a child, not from that
Hmm.
perspective, from the
Yeah,
perspective of the countries, of the, you know, uh, and I, I, what I mean is, um, you love your mum, you're very close to your mum, she lives in Romania still, you're very close now to Kash's family, they live in India. You had a very close involvement with your grandparents while they were alive, while you were growing up. So
yeah.
when you look at your life now, how do you juggle that kind of relationship with all that's working, because you talked about the advantages and disadvantages, with the things that you sometimes feel you miss out on?
You do miss out. You have to be. I'm a realistic person. I like, as much as I am positive, but I'm realistic in the same time. Um, I'm trying to, you laugh. A lot of times I'm counting my money in trips.
I like it.
I'm counting, like, let's say sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm gonna buy this. Oh, how much is it? Oh my God, no, this is like a flight ticket. You know, before I wasn't so much, but now I became like that. Um, and thank God we live in an era where we have social media and we have the plane, and right there, and you can grab it anytime. Yes, sometimes, maybe you don't travel BA all the time, but there are other airlines that you can afford as well. So what I'm trying to say is that social media is helping a lot with this connection and not to miss out so much. But there are moments when I cannot be at home for Christmas or for Easter with my family, or Cash with his family. Yes, I will be frank with you. There are things that you do miss out, and that would be the many reunions and encounters, and like days that you can spend close to your family and your friends from back your country, that you cannot comprise them when you go only on a holiday. Like, um, yes, you do miss out, but obviously this is it's a conscious choice that you make, and on the other hand, nothing is like, I don't stay in this country, or myself and Cash, we don't stay here because we are obliged, or or something, like the circumstances are that at the moment that we want to live here for various reasons, language, financially, the fact that we already established ourselves here. Even if I would go back to my country, um, even let's say I wouldn't be married, but it's still gonna be coming to square one, because I haven't been in my country for many years. Actually, I've never lived properly in my country. After I finished my studies, I left. And during my studies, I did work a little bit, but I can't say that I have the experience of living as an adult, like a settled adult in Romania. So I would still go back to ground zero. The only thing I'm missing out, to be frank with you, is my family. And I'm trying to compensate with holidays. And obviously, I would love my daughter to be close to her grandmother and her aunt and other friends that I have. But if I would go back to Romania, I would miss out on other things.
Mm.
And, and as I said before, England is a very good opportunity if you think about education. But I'm the type of person that never says never, because life takes you to so many different paths that you don't even realize. And yeah, I learned never to say never, because yeah, I'm talking about never say never in good terms, like other things like that stuff. No, um, that's out of question. But you do miss out. You do
Mm.
miss out, and I'm being realistic. And as much as we can, we are trying to, compensate with holidays, compensate with calls. But that's because it's the way I am. But if I would, I have friends that they live in Romania and they don't speak so often with their parents as much as I speak with my mom that I'm not there. So I know exactly what she's doing and what my sister is doing and what my friends are doing and what my uncle, my aunt, like I know exactly what they are doing because I talk with them. It would be a problem if I would be in the same country or in the same city or in the same town, and I would not know what they are doing, and we would not meet up, and we would not keep in touch. That's a problem. I find that's a problem. The fact that I'm a little bit far away is not a problem. If I really struggle, I take the plane on Friday, I come back on Sunday or on Monday, if I really struggle. Even if I have the baby, so what? A lot of people are like, oh my God, but then with the baby, so what? With the baby, what? You just have another backpack and that's it. Come on, Pampers are everywhere. Baby food, you can do it anywhere. If you have a baby, what? That's just an excuse. Like you just become too comfortable in your own comfort and you don't want to bother. That's a different story. But no, yeah, you do miss out. But in the same time, if you think and you reverse things from the point of view that I can, I'm trying to know about what they are doing and how they are doing. Um, and I'm working towards a life where I can have complete freedom and not be, struggling with work and holidays and blah blah. So from this point of view, me and Cash, we are trying to work towards a lifestyle where we can afford to work, but like from different places, and that's where I don't think you're gonna miss out.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's lovely. So you're considering creating a lifestyle where you really could live in any country and you could
Yes.
even move around.
Yes.
You already talk about three homes. So you
Hmm.
mean you could be moving around within those three homes, or you could even be living in a fourth
Yes.
home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you
Wonderful.
know what? After I've seen the world, for me, and even for you, because we haven't said it until now, but obviously you've been traveling around the world for many years as well. So we see we see the world quite small when you do that. As arrogant as it might sound, I don't have nothing in. I'm not saying it because of it, but when you do travel extensively, you don't see it so far away. I just don't see it, especially when I've been working on an aircraft and 9 hours later I was on a different continent. It's nothing. Like, you see two movies and that's it. You are in a different continent. You see three movies, you are even farther away. It depends
Love it.
how you count life. I count money in excursions, I count time in movies, like different. It does. I think it's what's important, no matter what, where you live, how you are, is if you really want something to come out of your comfort zone.
Mm.
Yeah. and make it happen. There are so many reasons why you can say, oh, I can't, oh, it's hard, oh. Yes, there are those reasons as well, and they are valid. I'm not saying they are not valid, and there are other people which they can be limited by so many things, so many things. Maybe their own family, their own partners, children, incapacity of children, health. There are so many reasons. Uh, I'm not taking them out of the equation. It's just that as much as we can, you have to do your life as pleasant and try and say I can. And even those hard things will become easier in a way. um it's harder for me as well. Depends of the days. Especially after having the child, you do feel much more tired, much more tired, and it's a different type of tiredness. I learned that as well. There is different type of tiredness. Completely different when you have like lack of sleep. Postpartum, it's different.
Thank you.
Different.
And I'm curious about something else. So one
Yes.
of the things about you, you've shared specifically about your mother's wisdom, handing it down to you.
Yeah,
But
well,
listen, no,
I'm
but in all seriousness, listening to you in today's conversation, you are imparting a lot of your wisdom from your own experience, from your own thought processes, and so on, which I'm sure you're going to hand down to your daughter. But
hopefully some.
I, yeah, some of it. And I know you have it in your vision, in your plan to have a YouTube channel or something like that. And
Mm.
what's that about? Is that connected to this wisdom that you generate?
Oh, no. Well, um, I want to open my own TV channel, YouTube channel, sorry. Who knows? Why did I say that? I do want to open it, but it will be on teams, on different teams. Like, I don't have a specific niche, to say it like that. Like, can be traveling, can be education, can be fashion, can be language, can be living in a different country. So many topics. I wouldn't. I think I wouldn't know how, because I am a little bit more static now that I used to be. So obviously, to do a niche, it's a little bit harder. And if you are not very, how can I say, if you are not very good on that domain to do episode 1, 2, 3, 4, I think obviously it's hard. So the only reason I would do it is because I love communicating with people. Um, I would love to have a community of people that are alike, to share ideas, because I do see social media in a positive way. As much as you can take it as a positive way, you can extend your circle of friends to the online as well. And sometimes, this is an opportunity. Why not? Because if you are maybe you are in a small city or in a small village or somewhere, and there are not so many people like you, and then you find someone that on social media that it's sharing same beliefs and same ideas about life and same values and whatever, and you like following that person. And it does happen to me as well, and not just from now. I'm just following different people that resonate with me. And I think that if other people would resonate in whatever I would have to say, I would be nice. And I have my background, my academic background, it's in communication and public relations. And I love this fact that I can communicate and I can talk with people and, understand their thoughts and their life and their decisions. And yeah, I love it. And I love talking with people from different ages. And I will make sure, if I will open it, because I am struggling it because of, like, oh, I don't know how to do the things, like, the how to do the video edit, how to do the video edit, how to do that. So I think I'm putting myself obstacles without necessity. I'm just procrastinating it. But yeah, I will try and as much as I can, if I really have the guts to do it, to put something out there as an add-on to contribute in a way to life, to society, to contribute, to say something worthy. Not worthy from the point of view like I think myself I am wise and I'm the most knowledgeable. Nah, no. But I'm trying to understand if my perception is correct, what other people would say, like, and from small to small to small, you kind of learn more about life than just to be in your own place, in your own shell, not come out. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Andreea, for being with me today and having this conversation about moving countries and sharing moving countries with having a family and all the things you need to look at and evaluate. I think it will be very useful for people listening in. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Claire, for offering me this opportunity as well. It's been lovely chatting with you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.